What's the deal?
Someone just posted this in channel. Inside Comcast's surveillance policies. Life Just is 2007. Just posted it in channel. The link.
Well, we all knew that Comcast was
Yeah.
Well, I have Comcast, of course, and you've all experienced my ups and downs with it. I'd rather be on the upside of it, but well, there was the word that they were throttling BitTorrent connections. Well, at least on home connections. I'm on a business class line here, so I should not be impeded by any artificial sanctions. I mean, that's in theory. So what's it saying, wireless packet?
They're keeping logs up to 180 days for connections to any IP address that you connect to. They're also keeping emails for up to 45 days, and they're recording VoIP calls and storing them for up to 2 years.
Whoa! Like you mean Comcast phone?
I'm sorry. VoIP phone records are stored for 2 years. Sorry.
Yeah, but
VoIP phone records.
what VoIP phone? I mean, we're using Skype right now. That's considered a VoIP.
Yeah.
Are they recording that?
Well, Skype's connections are supposedly
they're
encrypted
encapsulated
somehow.
Yeah.
But,
Okay, so
I imagine it means. I'm not sure if it means only like the Comcast digital phone thing.
Yeah, probably
It must be.
triple play that they have.
oh my God, that's huge.
Or
Yeah.
whether my question is whether or not it would include Vonage, because anything that goes over the SIP network, I'm sure they could intercept where you're dialing to, right?
Oh my God. Wait, okay, yeah. We got it. Is this just fear, uncertainty, and doubt, or there are actual?
Well, they're pulling out a book. They're pulling out the AT&T playbook right now.
Oh my God, that would keep me from ever recommending. Well, it's difficult to even stay on Comcast network. Unfortunately, I'm not in a position to argue. I mean, would I live off of ISDN and?
The first question I think is, they're not recording the calls.
No, yeah, they're just recording.
You said they're just recording the connection, where it's the same as your regular phone. When you call someone, there's a record that you called them.
Right.
But you know,
same thing for VoIP, and they pretty much can't not do that, right?
Yeah, but do you know all voicemails are recorded? They're stored on the server. Like people can go, like Comcast has a triple play, so you can go to the web and you can get your voicemails.
Yeah.
All that stuff is stored there someplace. So if let's say they get a court order saying that we want to get every single voicemail that this individual had on their phone from this day to this day, what's Comcast going to say? We can't do that. They're going to just pull out the backups and say, here you go.
Mm-hmm.
If once it goes through a server, they could probably pull up phone calls if they wanted to.
Yeah, it's just. What about emails? Is that just Comcast.net emails or any?
I'm sure.
They're saying it's probably their email, like email they provide you.
Because obviously my ISP can't do that with my email because I connect to IMAP over SSL.
Wow. They're saying it's part of that domestic surveillance program.
Wow. Well, it just.
I know there was some argument up in here in Canada because they were trying to pass a law that said the ISPs had to build in these capabilities so that when they were given a court order, they could start monitoring people's connections.
Yep. Backdoor. See,
it seems to me like this is just already happened in the States with less fanfare.
Well, and that's kind of the point. I think it's already happened in places, in pockets. But people tend not to think about it, and even if they do know about it, they feel it doesn't impact them. But you have to be aware that when you're online...
I wrote a paper on this, but I wrote it for an exam at school, and I don't have a copy of it because I had to write it at the school on the exam day. I wish I had a copy of it because I wrote a very good paper on this whole issue. Of course, I can't remember what my point was now.
Well, that doesn't do me any good. But it brings up good points. One, when you're online, just be careful, what you're doing.
Yep.
Period. Number two, just because a website says it's secure doesn't necessarily mean it is secure. I mean, anybody can say something secure. Doesn't mean it is that way. In fact, I've seen these little graphics show up on web pages saying it's hacker safe.
It's all BS.
Oh my God!
It's a ploy.
Marketing.
It's basically a money making scheme.
Who was it? It was some podcaster.
Yeah.
Was talking about this issue. They saw the hacker safe and they tried to email the HackerSafe people and find out what it was about, and
It was on.
basically they
Twit.
told them it was on which?
It was on Twit. I think Leo Laporte was talking to someone that was. Oh, the guy who creates the fleeces for Leo Laporte. I forgot the name of the
That
company.
guy, yes, Scott.
Scotty Vest. I don't know if
Yeah.
you ever heard of him, Chris.
Yep.
He went and he inquired. He says, I want to find out what you're going to do, to keep my website safe and keep the consumer safe.
So basically, what does HackerSafe mean? What do you actually check on a daily basis on a search safe?
Yeah.
And basically, all they do is charge you a lot of money for the logo. So he made up his own that was like safe from hackers or something like that, and then they tried to sue him for it.
Whoa. Well, it's,
Because it was too close to their trademark or whatever.
That's the thing. You just have to be careful. You have to assume that anything you do is going to be tracked, can and will be tracked. Even if you search or surf through a proxy or an anonymizer, I mean, it's going to, of course, mitigate any possibility of.
Well, first of all, if the proxy or anonymizer you're going through isn't using SSL encryption, then if your ISP or someone in your house or anywhere on the line between you and the endpoint is monitoring your traffic, they can read what you're looking at just the same, right?
Yeah, no, they can. They can.
If the government has a court order against you and your ISP is monitoring all the traffic that they're sending to your house, and you're going through a proxy, the proxy hides your IP address from the site you're going to.
Yeah,
but the traffic's still going back and forth unencrypted.
Yeah, but all they need is basically from you to where you're sending. So it goes from you to the first server. That's the only traffic they need to capture. And once they capture that, they could basically read the headers and stuff, and it's all downhill. They could get whatever they want from you.
Right. But if the traffic between you and the proxy or the end site is encrypted with SSL, it's a lot harder to read it.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot harder.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like
it's supposed to be impossible, but
that's why I'm a firm believer in the iPhantom. But
the what?
The iPhantom can't transparently add encryption to everything.
What is that? No, it's a piece of hardware and a service, isn't it? It's a combo.
It's a piece of hardware, but it encrypts to a server, and then from the server.
It's actually like more of a VPN. VPNs from your house to their server, and then you go out to the internet from there.
Yes.
Do you recommend that?
To prevent you from snooping on the local side of the network.
But do you recommend that for just like regular old home users?
For anyone that's concerned about security and concerned about their banking and concerned about IM traffic and stuff that.
Specifically what Lenny said the other day, like if you go to hotels a lot and you're concerned about the traffic going from your laptop into the hotel's network or whatever, then it's a cheap little box you can stick between your laptop and the jack in the wall. And
I mean, it's also good for
it's an extra layer.
For let's say if you own one of them little booths in the mall, and you connect to the mall's network and you're selling stuff and you have your little Visa credit card swipe machine that plugs into the web.
Oh
you
yeah,
use
sure.
this box to.
Well, those use SSL and TLS, but
they do. But that's also
extra layers are better.
I mean, I've heard some horror stories.
Well, my favorite is hearing from people who complain about the web and internet being unsecure, not insecure. They're two different words with two completely different meanings. I just don't know. Am I fast enough? I don't know. I don't feel like I'm fast enough. I can't feel it. I feel slow. I feel so slow. That would be an insecure internet connection there. I've heard people complain saying, the internet is not safe, and yet to a certain degree, there are parts of it that aren't. But these are the same people who will, at a restaurant, just hand over their credit card to someone they don't know, they don't have their background on, and is likely, a minimum wage person. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm not saying minimum wage is a bad thing. I'm just saying that there is obviously a motivation, potentially.
They do the double swipe.
Right, precisely. And it has happened. It can and does happen. So just because it's the internet doesn't mean that A, it's safe, and it doesn't mean it's completely unsafe, or it's the most unsafe way of transmitting data from point A to point B.
You'd be surprised that your Visa card, like Visa, MasterCards, a lot of those cards have your PIN. It's unencrypted on the stripe. on that strip.
Wow.
So if you use an app, there's a couple apps out there that you could use, and build a device that you could, when you swipe the card, it shows in DOS, it'll save it in a text file. Everything that's on that card.